This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here. Now, if you've ever been on the receiving end of reputation damage or malicious gossip, you know how destructive it can be. It's awful. People can say something about you. It can damage other people's perceptions or relationship with you, and you don't even really know that it's happened. There might just be a sense that something was said and you notice that something's changed, but not really know why something has changed. Now, this hypnosis session is all about that because I was working with a client where their reputation damage happened within inside an organization. They had this new opportunity. They took that job, and very soon the relationship with the person that hired them soured. And they called this a poisoned well, that someone poisoned the well. And what they meant is that the reputation damage soured that relationship with the person that in their particular role needed to be a certain way because of the politics involved. Their career progression was inextricably linked to the direct input of the person that hired them originally. Now, this hypnosis session does 2 key things. One, it's about seeing if they can mend or improve the relationship by adding value and reconnecting with things from the past. But secondly, feeling that if this relationship within the workplace couldn't ever get to that level, why stay in a place where they're not going to be appreciated and that their career is going to be limited? So it has this element of freeing themselves from this double bind of something isn't working, but they have to stay there, to feeling liberated that actually they are capable and they are value and they want to improve that workplace relationship and, let's say, unpoison the well. But if they can't, they accept it and they move on and they find a different career, a different job in a different organization, because that's the bit that can make it feel that very, let's say, disempowering. It's called learned helplessness in psychology, where you feel like you've got no options and, you know, what you have to do is to continue doing what you're doing, even though it's not getting you the results that you want. So if you can relate to this idea of feeling that your reputation has been tarnished, you want to feel empowered, liberated, or at least that you've got other options so you're not dependent on where you are, you might get some value from this session. Now, it was created for a client that was in a particular type of organization. Therefore, some of the suggestions might be relevant for them. This was, kind of meetups in conferences, drinks on the beach and things like that. That might not be your specific situation. So ignore any suggestions that don't quite fit with you. Hone into the ones that are. And if you do want a bespoke session built entirely around your circumstances and situations, there will be a link in the show notes where you can explore how to do that or to schedule a free consultation call with me. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that slow, long breath of relaxation. And as you exhale, give permission to release any feelings of stress, worry, tension. Just allow it to feel like it's leaving your body slowly, surely, incrementally in that outward breath. And as you breathe in, focus on your eyelids. Just imagine tiny tendons and muscles starting to relax, almost like your eyelids getting heavier and heavier, and feel that relaxation spread up into your eyebrows and then into your forehead as you start to recall facial expressions like concern or surprise, and just allow those tiny muscles in your forehead to release and to relax. That's it. Imagine your jaw loosening, neck and shoulders, letting go of any echoes of tension. And notice how you're breathing deeper down into your diaphragm, those belly breaths rather than the chest breaths. And what's fascinating is that the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe. Each breath takes you deeper and deeper relaxed. And as your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. I want you to imagine an old library. And in that library is a globe on a brass axis. And I wonder if you could imagine spinning that globe around, seeing all of those countries that you've lived in or visited in the world. And just slow down that globe there over the Caribbean. I want you to look at a particular island. And as you focus on that island, almost feel like your perspective is no longer looking at a globe, but being in the sky above the island, floating down at sunset. I want you to imagine what it would feel like to be an invisible detective. No one can see you, but you can see and hear everything. And I want you to imagine floating down onto a beach in Barbados on an evening, on a particular date, when you in your past were there, having an in-depth conversation, maybe shared over Scotch whiskey, there on the beach. And feel that you are that invisible detective looking for clues. Clues to the type of relationship where words flow, ideas are almost telepathically linked, like you're on the same page, the same frequency. And embrace that role of being that invisible detective. To look for clues as to what the recipe for that relationship is. Notice how you're breathing in a particular way. Notice your muscle tension. Do you look relaxed, calm, at peace? Notice your facial expressions, your body language. Just get a sense that that version of you feels safe, feels comfortable, feels that your presence is wanted. But also notice the facial expressions and the tonality of the person you're talking with. Are they holding eye contact? Are they nodding their head? Are they smiling? Is their posture open? And maybe they're standing or sitting. But all of these things tell you a form of calibration. I want you to get a feeling of what that would be like to step into that version of you and now play detective on the inside. Maybe there's an absence of overthinking, an absence of words like, can I say this? If I say this, how will it be interpreted? And more, it feels safe and open to communicate, to allow the words to flow. Notice how you breathe and breathe that way now. Notice your facial expressions, how relaxed they feel, and just be that way now. I want you to feel that all of the neural pathways that were activated back then are awakening and activating now. And sometimes people change unconsciously. I want you to think back to a memory where you might have been cold or distant, caught up in your own world, your own problems, and you met with someone, and their response to you changed you. Maybe they greeted you with a hug rather than a handshake. Maybe they were smiling when they were talking and you found yourself smiling. Maybe the rhythm and tonality of their voice was full of passion, excitement, enthusiasm, and you found that you started talking that way too. And if that's been possible for you, it's also possible that you can be that person to someone else. That when you talk that way you used to, they respond as they used to. I want you to imagine floating up out of that memory and observing yourself at a different time where there was regular communication through chat, maybe WhatsApp, maybe something else. Notice the language used, the frequency. And notice how different that is to sending a formal document that then gets ignored. In one case, things flow. And in the other, they become stagnant. I want you to imagine seeing yourself, perhaps in a meal, discussing ideas and strategies. And notice the dynamic, the proximity. Step into that version of you and again awaken all of those feelings, thoughts and ideas, giving you a sense that this has been possible, which means the variable is not with you, unless somehow you've changed subtly to create a self-fulfilling prophecy that works against you. I want you to imagine it's the next day there, on that island of Bermuda, and I want you to imagine finding perhaps an old plantation or an old farm, and just imagine seeing one of those old stone wells. And I want you to get a sense. A well works if the water is filtered, if it's used regularly. But there are two things that can happen to that well to change something that was good and make it something unusable. I want you to imagine seeing someone poison the well. Not with chemicals, but with words. And I want you to think, what words would have needed to have been said to poison that well? And if poison is the problem, for every poison there is an antidote. And I want you to imagine, based on those words, what would be the antidote to make that unusable well become usable once more? And you don't have to know them now. Consider it an open loop, a project for your unconscious, a quest, and don't be surprised if the antidote is revealed to you in a moment of epiphany, a eureka moment. The words just pop into your head that could or will be the antidote to the poisoned well. But the second way that the well becomes unusable is not through poison, it's through stagnation. If the water in the well is not regularly used, if it becomes stagnant, what once was clean water becomes infected. Flies lay their eggs. Bacteria starts to grow. An antidote won't help that well. What would be required is to change the water. And I want you to imagine a point in the future, seeing a version of you create a catalyst to change the water. Maybe that is a meeting, a voice message, an email, something that communicates that things in their current form aren't either matching expectations or making it worthwhile. And maybe that message or email communicates that there is a reluctance to walk away from something that could be incredible, but a pragmatic acceptance that if it can't get back to a level where words can flow, ideas can be shared safely, influence can be influential, then because time is precious, the best thing to do would be to move to an environment of impact, of influence, of strategy, of making a difference. And I want you to imagine perhaps 3 different ways that message could be interpreted or responded to. Imagine the first is acceptance. If you don't want to be here, that's fine. In which case you know, and you save months, if not years. And the second response could be indifference. Complete ignoring of valid words, concerns, thoughts, hopes, and dreams in that message. And indifference is exactly the same as acceptance. You treat anything other than change as a reason to change. But I want you to imagine a more optimistic response. I want you to imagine that that person gets that message, that email, those words, and feels that their life, their role, would be worse off without your skills, your capabilities, your ideas, and your influence. I want you to see an outcome where that becomes a catalyst to wipe the slate clean. The equivalent of replacing the water in the well. I want you to imagine that in the days, weeks, and months that follow that, words get to flow again. Ideas get shared. I want you to see a similar dynamic in that future that you know for certainty existed in the past, with an empowering belief that if it can't get back to something like that, then you don't want it. No need to chase, no need to hope. A simple cause and effect. Either things change or you change. The status quo is no longer desirable for you. If your unconscious mind feels that it's activated a new awareness of a standard, a desire to see things improve, but a quiet acceptance that they may not, and that's fine too. Avoiding a sunk cost fallacy of, I've invested this much time, therefore I need to invest even more. If your unconscious mind is willing to walk away from anything that no longer serves you, let me know by nodding your head. And that is courage. That is integrity. That is self-esteem and self-confidence and self-respect. I want you to feel that sometimes there is a paradox. When something really needs to happen, it can be elusive. But when you've reconciled that it doesn't matter what happens, you will be fine either way. Sometimes the universe conspires in your favor to give you the very thing that you were chasing the moment you're willing to walk away. Imagine returning to that well, and perhaps it's a bucket on a rope, And just imagine pulling up that pail of water on that rope and seeing the purest, cleanest water that you've ever seen. No poison and no stagnation in this well anymore. Imagine taking a sip and feeling that this is your future, clean and with clarity. Allow yourself to go all the way back down to that beach as the invisible detective, and imagine yourself seeing you there, laughing, joking, communicating. But it's now in your future, and it's not dependent on who the person is. I want you to see that this represents an influential, impactful version of you in your future, irrespective of what any one individual does. Feel yourself floating up into the sky, and then imagine yourself in an old library spinning a globe, feeling that the world is indeed your oyster. It's now time to return to your present with a new sense of strategy, clarity, and a sense of pragmatic acceptance. You can want something to happen without needing it to happen, and you will act in accordance with your values, not be dependent on someone else's. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.